everybody, I'm Trina Titus Lozano, pastoral counselor and ordained Christian minister. And I'm here with you every Friday morning on Life Network for Women, and this is the Her Show, Home Experience Radio, and named it after the book that my mother, Debbie Titus, wrote, and I was the co-author of this book, the Home Experience book. I encourage you to get this. This is a handbook for making your home a place of love and peace. And one way that we do that is through example. And another way that we do that is by training our children. You know, if your kids are out of control, the peace is gone in your home pretty quick. So we really need to train our children what it means to have a peaceful environment and how they can contribute to that. So I've written this parenting series, the ABCs of parenting, the absolute basic criteria for raising the next Christian generation. And so I'm going through from A to Z, and please catch the replay from the previous episodes of the Her Show and be sure to listen to this whole series because I'm building upon each letter different character qualities that we need to be training our children. Today's the letter I. This is I for independence. And I love Pastor Ed Young's book. It's called Kid CEO, which is exactly what we do not want. We do not want our kids being the CEO of us and of our household. No, we are the ones that are in charge. That's why I said A is for authority, because God has put you as the authority over your children, and we have to get under the things that God puts over us so that we can get over the things that God puts under us. And the thing that He has put under us is our children. So he says in the book, he defines parenting, the process of teaching and training your children to leave. And I really love that because as we are parenting, we really need to keep in mind that we want to work our way out of a job. That's right. We need to train our children. In Proverbs, it says, train your children in the way that they should go. This is Proverbs chapter 22. And here's where we get all of the criteria for raising our kids is right here. Proverbs 22, verse 6. Direct your children onto the right path. Train your children in the way that they should go, and when they are older, they will not depart from it. Okay, train them in the way that they should go. Okay, not stay. Spouses stay, children go. We've got to get this in our head because we want to work our way out of a job. I have done this. I've been married for almost 38 years. And my husband and I have 4 children together, and 3 are married. They're all grown, and we have 11 grandchildren. So we were very intentional to train them to be independent. Okay, I is for independent. We want to train them so that we are allowing them to exercise their wings. So when it is time for them to leave the nest, they are ready to fly. So we do this throughout their life. We do this from the time that they are really pretty young. When they are the preschool age, we want to be sure that there's opportunity that they can become independent from us. This might be putting them in a Mother's Day Out program. This might be by having a babysitter over so that you can have a date night. This might be by taking them to ballet class or gymnastics or involving them in a soccer team, something like this. So they can have an opportunity to be independent from you. Okay, there should not be too much separation anxiety whenever you have trained them to begin to step away from you. And they can do that comfortably because they're so well bonded to you. If you've done a great job bonding with your children and having this very, very beautiful attachment with them, then they can be away from you for short periods of time and never lose that attachment. They will be so excited to get back together with you when they come, but they will not have this separation anxiety because you're training them to have some independence from you. So as you're training them to be independent, you want to train them to be independent as in having some time away from you. Okay, so you'll start with these illustrations that I just gave you, and then as they get older, they can go longer periods of time without you. Like, for instance, being in school for several hours a day where they've learned to be independent, to be obedient to the authority of their teacher because you've taught them the principles of submitting to the authority besides just you. And then they get into junior high and high school. I would encourage you to introduce them to youth pastors and let them have an opportunity to go on missions trips where they can even travel without you. Of course, you're going to really do the research to be sure that whoever they are with are trusted people, but they need to begin to get some independence from you. And I even highly recommend that they are ready to drive by the time they're 15 years old, so that when they're 15, they can get their learner's permit and they can have a whole year to practice driving. In the state of Texas, they can get their driver's license when they're 16. And I really agree with that. It was kind of a trend, and it still is in some states, in some nations, to not get a driver's license until you're 18. But I really don't agree with that, because I feel like a 16-year-old should have been trained to have the character qualities and to be responsible teenagers, so that they can accept the responsibility to become drivers and to become responsible drivers, because you train them in that. And then they will have an opportunity to become independent from you. Okay, once they get their driver's license, their responsibilities will change, and you still have boundaries, but the boundary lines get further and further apart, and they still have boundaries, but they have a lot of freedom within these boundaries. And the older they get, you should be able to move these boundaries further and further so that they can have more and more freedom. Then by the time they are 18, 19, 20, especially by the time they're 21 years old, you are totally finished parenting, okay? You have raised adults, and they are independent adults, not dependent adults. So we have a real epidemic in the world that we live in today, where parents are failing to raise their kids to leave. And kids graduate from college without being independent. Okay, they're still dependent. They're still on your phone plan. You're still paying for their insurance. You're still paying for their car. You're still paying for their rent. And yet they think they're adults, because age-wise, they should be adults, but you haven't done a good job in training them to become independent. And in order to do this, you've got to let go. Okay, when you train them to ride a bike, you can't just keep holding on to the seat as they ride. You have to let go so that they can ride on their own. And that's the way that it is in life. So by the time they're 21, you should have done such a great job in preparing them to be independent in every area of life. They can cook. They've been cooking since they were very young. They can do their own laundry. They've been doing their own laundry since they were about 8 years old. That's what it should be. Okay, you taught them to drive when they were 16. You taught them to do a budget as soon as they got their first job, shortly thereafter. So between 16, 17, and by the time they're 18, they can do their own taxes. They can pay their own bills. They can balance their own accounts, because you have trained them to be independent. That's good parenting, okay? And you're training them with these skills, knowing that ultimately it is your prayer that God will bring a spouse to them, and then they will leave and cleave, okay? So they will completely leave their father and mother. They will cleave to their spouse. They will start a whole nother family. And that's the way that it should be. So I is for independence, because we need to raise our kids to leave. And if you do that, you are a great parent. And remember, as you're training them to leave, you've got to train yourself to let go too, okay? Because you cannot hold on to your kids and without crippling them, okay? You can't keep carrying around an 18-year-old, okay? It's kind of ridiculous there, but a lot of people really don't let go when they need to. And as the children develop from infancy, you're carrying your baby and they're with you everywhere. In fact, you might even wear them on a baby carrier, in a baby carrier. But as they get older, they get more independent, and that is good. Okay, that's your goal, to raise your kids to leave. So I is for independent. Thank you for joining me on this parenting series, and I will see you next Friday. God bless you. Have a great week. Hugs and high fives. See you next time.